Is that the Chainsaw Man?
This podcast is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed. Spoiler warning for whatever is in the title of this episode.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/thehorrorofbabylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that The Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible and all other major podcast apps.
Welcome to the Treehouse of Horror of Babylon, episode 11, where we discuss Wanted Dead, Then Alive. I am Ryan, and with me as always is Daniel. Say hi, Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
And this show is brought to you by our patrons, Abigail the First, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron. And Ben, the Fourth, Patron of Hope. And our newest patron, Mia the Fifth, the Rainmaker.
She makes it rain.
Ooh, yo, she makes it rain. And thank you to Horsemen Comics and Gaming, which you can visit at the Morgantown Mall, Morgantown, West Virginia, the Mall Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You can shop online at shop.forhorsemancomics.com. And if you happen to wander into the store, you can say hello to Associate Professor Ron. Don't ask him about his tenure because it's a tender subject for Ron. He'll probably lay an egg over it. Trigger warnings.
I guess if you're just super sensitive to seeing a cartoon kid being murdered over and over again in a comedic fashion.
I think cartoons have killed all of us of that. I think that's probably the one thing that we're all okay with.
The vampire's a pure myth, superstition. I may be able to bring you proof that the superstition of yesterday can become the scientific reality of today.
Jumping into background, this is season 27, episode 5. It is the first segment of Treehouse of Horror 26. The second segment is Homerzilla, which of course is a parody of Godzilla. And the third segment is Telepaths of Glory, which is a parody of Chronicle.
Like of Narnia?
No, that's the Chronicles of Narnia. Another interesting background note about this thing is the episode prior to this, so season 27, episode 4, is an actual Halloween episode of The Simpsons, like a canon normal episode about Halloween, which I believe they had never done.
That's so weird.
Yeah, it was. And it's funny because episode opens with Homer and Marge decorating the house for Halloween, and Flanders walks up and says, it's Halloween at The Simpsons. It doesn't get more iconic than that. Are you guys going up to the treehouse to tell 3 spooky scary stories? And Homer said, no, we're doing that next week. We're doing Psycho with Principal Skinner and his mom. We're doing a parody of the Muppets Wizard of Oz, and then something about furniture coming alive and taking over the world.
That's very funny.
Yeah, I like it. Episode was directed by Stephen Dean Moore, who worked on the Rugrats before going to The Simpsons. He's from Klasky Csupo. And it was written by Joel H. Cohen, who is one of those like big famous Simpsons writers.
Like one of the big ones?
Yeah, like one of the big ones. He worked on Saturday Night Live before moving over to The Simpsons. One of the people who worked on the movie.
And that's that. Another story in the classic, infallible 3-act structure. Good enough for Aristotle, good enough for The Simpsons.
Mr. Sislak, I have a feeling there's going to be one more act to this story.
Well, I'm not hanging around for that. 4 acts.
Okay, structure and themes. This is a parody of Re-animator. What elements of Re-animator exist within this short?
the psychotic doctor who's taking kind of glee in the experiment. Though instead of like the glee coming from being able to bring the dead back to life, it's just getting to murder the person over and over again.
Essentially, like, the same thing happens. Like, the experiment is to bring them back to life just for a different purpose.
Yeah.
And presumably, in Re-animator, you wouldn't have been able to, like, kill them, bring them back, kill them, bring them back, kill them, bring them back.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say. The character being a college professor is relevant in both. And it's in a lot more of the jokes in this episode than I might have guessed.
As in Re-animator, he was a college student that was clashing with professors.
I thought he was like a intern. I guess he was a student.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a medical student.
He was a medical student. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
It's funny because Sideshow Bob actually reminded me more of the professor in that movie
Yeah, a little
than
bit.
Herbert West himself.
I was waiting for you to make a joke about him being Bill's professor from It.
I didn't think of that. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, that was basically like the whole scene where I forget what it was, something from T.S. Eliot, and he was like, what does blah 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 represent? And all the kids are just like Googling it on their phones and be like, actually, it represents. I don't know. It was funny.
Yeah, it was funny.
It was so funny.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Let's talk about characters. I have heard you mention Sideshow Bob a couple times. What's kind of your experience with Sideshow Bob?
Okay, so I've never seen like the origin episode of like what made him like hate Bart, but I've seen a lot of the episodes where he's going after Bart. At least like 3 or 4 of them. So
I was going to bring it up in Easter eggs, but I'll do it now. It's the origin episode from season 1 is actually referenced in this episode.
Okay.
So he was Krusty's sidekick on the Krusty the Clown show, and he was sick of Krusty and jealous of Krusty, so he decided to frame Krusty for robbing the Quickie Mart. Lisa and Bart uncovered his plot, and it proved that it was Bob who robbed the Quickie Mart instead of Krusty, and that's why Bob hates Bart. It's because they sent him to jail. Well, it was actually...
But not Lisa.
But not... which is something that I've always... Like, it's probably more Lisa, that, but he's always focused on Bart.
It's probably because he thinks he can take Bart.
Yeah. I've always really enjoyed the Sideshow Bob episodes. I love how, like, snooty he is, and how they just, like, constantly, like, bring him down a peg. He's like the slapstick character who's always stepping on rakes and getting smacked in the face, but he doesn't want to be. He wants to be like the like Frasier.
Yeah, like
he wants to be the intelligent, witty character.
Yeah, he's very theatrical.
Which, of course, is, you know, he's voiced by Kelsey Grammer, who played Frasier.
What about second breakfast?
Shut up, Pippin.
What about second breakfast?
Second breakfast is important.
Sideshow Bob, good. Okay.
Yeah, Sideshow Bob.
I'll kill you all! I'll drive you crazy, and I'll kill you all! I'm every nightmare you ever had. I am your worst dream come true. I'm everything you ever were afraid of.
Scary shit. What was your best joke? What was your worst joke? And just quickly, for me, not answering, but I felt like this one was more like 3 or 4 pretty big jokes and less like funnier jokes throughout.
Yeah. I think my worst joke's easy. It's tell my dad he's fat.
Yeah.
I didn't really find that funny at all. Like, Bart's dying, and that's his final word.
I think it's in character.
It isn't. I mean, it's in character, but I was just like...
I agree. I think that's mine, too. I don't think it's all that funny. I would expect... But that's the joke that I would expect them to make.
There were a couple good jokes in here. I think for best joke, I'm still going to go with... luckily, it's after school hours. Which just seems in line for the American education system.
Yeah, no, that one is good. I think I'm going to go with, well, let's go to the second suspect. Okay, we're going to go to the second suspect, and it's Homer. And he's like, oh, well, I better check it out.
Yeah, that was also pretty good.
I also really liked, that was for framing Krusty. What about all the times he tried to kill me? I also find it immensely funny that Lisa discovers her brother's dead body, and instead of being shocked or upset, she's like, I knew it!
I also... God, who did she say that they killed?
Jailbird, which is not his... That's his first name. He normally goes by his last name, which is Snake.
That's the dude with, like, the greaser hair?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty funny, too. I didn't believe it was him, even after they tried and executed him.
Yeah, his full name is Jailbird Snake. He normally just goes by Snake. That was a really good one, too. I also really liked the end with the 10-year committee joke.
Yeah.
So there were, like, 4 or 5, like, pretty big jokes, but throughout, it wasn't, like...
I wasn't laughing throughout this one.
No.
And I've laughed throughout a few of these.
Yeah, like the Frankenstein one we just watched
good,
was
yeah.
just lots of good jokes throughout. But that's fine. Like,
I mean, not all of them can be that.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be hard to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially for a show that's been around this long.
I know, right?
Kiss me, fat boy.
So for Kiss Me Fat Boy, if you've been listening to all these, it's slowly just become like a Marge simping podcast.
I mean, yeah.
So if it's creepy and it's weird, this is like me asking you, just call us out now so we can stop it before it... Because otherwise, that's just going to be every Treehouse of Horror of Babylon episode. It's just going to be like, God, she's so hot.
You know what's weird is that would get you to stop, but that would get me to escalate. If someone told me it was creepy and weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's our reactions to that statement.
I'd be with you internally.
Yeah. You would just let everyone think I was creepy and weird. Just why I said what we're both thinking.
Yeah. That's exactly what would happen.
Oh my God, are you Stephen King? No, I'm Dean Koontz. Oh.
Kings and Koontz. My King and my Koontz is kind of the same thing. I love spending so much time with Sideshow Bob, because this is basically like almost like a monologue from Sideshow Bob. Because I love the character so much, so that's my King. But it's also kind of my Koontz, because some of like the things he says are so highbrow and make references that I just don't understand. Mm-hmm. But I mean that's the character. It fits the character, and I assume they kind of write him that way because
he's Frasier.
Yeah, because that's how he tries to come off. So that's my King and my Koontz.
I think my King is getting to see Bart killed over and over again.
It was pretty good. What was your favorite one?
The sledgehammer. That was fucking violent. That was actually kind of brutal. Like
they're pretty violent. Like Treehouse of Horror can be a little on the iffy side. And
I was sitting there watching that, and I was like, "Is that okay? Is that okay to animate?"
There are times when we're watching these episodes, or it's like an itchy and scratchy cartoon, where I'm like, maybe I should turn Drake's head.
Yeah, I think my Koontz. It's just that there were a lot more low points in this one where it wasn't as funny throughout. Mm-hmm. There was just there's a lot more like sitting and waiting for the joke than I'm used to with watching these with you.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Rankings.
I like a lot of the jokes, but like we said, it's kind of... I think for me, it's going to be my new number 6.
Yeah.
I like it a little more than Bart Simpson's Dracula, but it's not as good as Frankenstein.
It's definitely not good as Mr. Frankenstein here. I think mine's also my number 6. I'm going to be like putting it like right in the middle.
Under Dead Ringer and just above Married to the Blob.
I think that's a decent spot for it. Because the jokes that were strong were really strong. I really like... I think its biggest strength is just its animation. Mm-hmm. Oh, that was probably the best joke. Re-animate. But I like the animation looks fine.
That is something that they didn't start doing until like the later seasons.
Yeah.
So this is season 27.
Which is pretty late, right?
Yeah. We were watching the last few episodes of season 26 last night, and in the penultimate episode of season 26, Springfield outlaws bullying, and Homer gets arrested for bullying Flanders. Rod and Todd turn him into the police, and he has to go to like a bully like support group, and they're like sitting around in the circle talking about their feelings, and it gets to Homer, and he says, can't I just do yard work like the kids do? And he points to the window, and all the bullies from Springfield Elementary are like mowing the grass and doing all this stuff. And leader of the circle says, no, you have to do internal work. And Homer says, what, like vacuuming?
That's funny.
Yeah.
Maybe this will just evolve into a Simpsons podcast. A Simpsons Simpcast.
Simp. The Simp Sins. That would be the name. The Simp dash Sins.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, I like it. And then
we're very pun oriented here.
Yeah, it's just how I was raised. Some people are Baptists, some people are Episcopals, some people like to pontificate.
Is it true that once you become a dad, you get like +2 points to your pun degree?
I don't know. I've always been very pun oriented. Even like in high school, that was something that I just like to make people groan. Homework. Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention in Zombie Day is this episode opens with Bart running a gambling ring, spinning Wendell on the... What are those things called? Merry-go-round?
Yeah.
And that's a reference to season 1 where Bart loses all his friends and he has to sit next to Wendell on the bus, and he doesn't want to sit next to Wendell on the bus because Wendell vomits every time he rides the bus. So that's
awful.
That's Wendell's joke. Homework. If you could reanimate and murder over and over again one pop culture character, who would it be and how would you do it?
So, as some of our listeners might know, we have started a Versus series. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to go to the episode we were working on with John Kramer and Cosmo Kramer. And it would be Cosmo Kramer, and I would put him in every single saw trap to see his death-live ratio.
Wow. That's rough.
Over and over. To see if he can bumble his way out of every different saw trap and like how he reacts to each one.
So mine's similar. I'm also choosing a character from a iconic TV show, an iconic TV sitcom.
Okay.
It's Peggy Hill. And I'm just going to push her out of various different planes from various different altitudes.
To see how many times she lived.
Yeah, see, like, all right, she lived from the B-52 at 500 feet. Let's get in that Boeing F-57 and let's take her up to 700 feet and see if Peggy can live now.
That is amazing. I like how we kind of went on like a similar train of thought.
Mm-hmm. It's good. I like it.
Just because we're scientists.
Yes, we are. We are absolutely like scientists.
Yeah.
This next one, this is the Name Game Violence Edition. This is actually our first three-way.
Oh.
Menage a trois. Hawkeye from Marvel Comics versus Hawkeyes from One Piece versus Hawkeye from MASH. Cue the MASH theme.
Not the One Piece theme?
Cue the One Piece theme.
I don't know. Which one's Hawkeye from One Piece? Is he the slingshot dude?
No, that is Usopp.
Okay.
Dracul Hawkeye. He's one of the 7 warlords of the sea.
Oh, so like the blue dragon dude.
No.
Okay. I don't know One Piece very well. I just see pictures. Oh, this guy looks pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, they changed it to... I forgot they changed it to Hawkeyes. Because like in the old translations...
It's close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is fun.
Okay. So he has this giant... So picture like Wolfwood from Trigun, his crucifix gun. He has a sword like that. That's
cool.
And in like in one of the earliest arcs, he beats Zoro, and that's Zoro has like his absolute famous moment where he's like dying and he's like, I will never lose again. And so far, he hasn't lost yet.
Okay.
And he's one of the 7 warlords of the sea, which are 7 pirates who are paid by the Navy and the world government to help them police the other pirates. So he's a
pirate of pirates.
He's a government simp.
Oh, okay. So he's a snitch.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a rat.
I hope he gets some stitches.
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet. It's been like 20 some years, but not yet. Further reading. If you like this, just watch Re-animator.
Yeah, I really like Re-animator.
I haven't watched any of the sequels yet.
I figure that's something that we'll do down the road anyway.
Yeah.
Probably when we start covering more H.P. Lovecraft stuff that doesn't have like adaptations, we'll just go to the sequels of that.
Yeah. for sure. All right, so thank you to our patrons: Daniel's Knee, Abigail the First, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron, and Ben, the fourth Patron of Hope, and Mia the Fifth, the Rainmaker.
She makes it rain.
And thank you to Horsemen Comics and Gaming, which you can visit at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, or at the Mall Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You can shop online at shop.forhorsemancomics.com, or you can see the proprietor live on the Krusty Show. His name is Sideshow Ron. He didn't have enough hair to put the bone through his hair, so Krusty made him put the bone through his nose.
I hope he gets his tenure.
Oh. All right, thank you for watching Wanted, Dead, Then Alive with me.
We are slowly becoming the Simps cast.
The Simp Sons. Yeah, I like it. All right, thank you to our patrons. Stay tuned for our socials and stay scary.
Stay scary, everybody.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher, and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/the Horror of Babylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that The Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and all other major podcast apps. Stay scary.